In chapter 5, we are going to cover the dashboard pretty much. And this is still at the designer layer. So we are going to cover the dashboard basics and what we can do with the dashboards. This is a sample of what a smart design dashboard should look like. Themes that I'm going to be covering include using microcharts, using dynamic pages, certain use cases where using a dark theme is good, especially in CXO's presentation, depending on the display screen and the device you are using, plus the interactions that we can use in a dashboard itself. Now, before we dive into the dashboard designer, we need to cover some new terms that we need to get used to or familiar with. And those are widgets, steps, pages, tiles, canvas. But pretty much I want you to focus on widgets and steps. So if I go back and close my lens from here, from previous chapter, I'm just going to hit create dashboard and cover those terms. For now, I'm going to hit the blank dashboard. And looking at this is our dashboard designer. Now on the left side are what we call widgets. These are charts, tables, filters, containers, dates, links, and so on. Now if you don't see everything, you can just click on this and you will get the text, toggle, navigation, the rest of the widgets. The selected canvas here is pretty much made up of tiles. We call them tiles, or you can say the canvas. And this is a little bit different than the old pixel perfect dashboards. Many reasons. One of them is you want to design a layout that's flexible on the device you are presenting. So later on we are going to cover layouts too, and you will see the different layouts we have. Now when default is selected, that's the canvas, notice on the right side we have the properties of the widget selected. And you can scroll down for the background image, device, background color, etc. Now if I click on the canvas itself, I have this which allows me to create steps, and that's where we are going to create steps. Steps are pretty much the queries. That's what brings me the data that feeds my widgets. And again, the exercises will help solidify that concept. Now before starting the actual exercise, I'm going to take a pause to talk about one helpful thing for you as you start on this journey. And that is the smart dashboard templates. Historically, templates are empty designs or canvases that have blocks where you can drag and drop your charts or guide you through the design of a dashboard. But in Einstein Analytics, we started to release to our users the smart dashboard templates. Anytime you see a smart right here on the template, that's a smart template dashboard. What this allows you, and let me walk you through an actual exercise to show you live what a smart templated dashboard does. Create a dashboard from template, and I'm going to select metrics trend. Select it, hit continue. What this allows me to do is actually select the data set that is going to source the data to my templated dashboard. So it's not just an empty dashboard. I can actually pick the data set. Let's pick the data set we created last time. Up owner account. And it's asking me what are the metrics you want to trend. So automatically it will create these charts for these metrics. I can select the 3 metrics that I've selected. Also, what is the date you're trending these metrics by? So let's select close date, for example. And what are the filters? What are the fields you want to slice and dice the data with? So let's select, for example, account type, maybe account name, and maybe opportunity type. Now that I've made my selections, I can hit looks good next. You give it a name. You can store it in my private app or shared app, it's fine, or any other app. My private app in this case. And this is what it does for me. It just created the dashboard. So this is the fastest way to get at least a templated dashboard out of the data set that we've spent a couple chapters creating. So if I preview right there, I have a fully functional dashboard with some smart design, because notice if I click on amount or external invoiced amount, it kind of gives me that dynamic behavior where it collapses amount and expands external invoiced amount. I can take a look at the external invoiced amount and go all the way to formula, click on it, also expands it and shows formula. I also have some customer thresholds with conditional formatting right here, colors, and I have my selectors right here. So this is pretty much a fully functional dashboard. If it happens to match part or most of my use case, it's definitely recommended to start with this based on the data set you have created. Now for our exercise, for the actual dashboard, we are going to start from scratch. It's a little bit of a long sequence of designing or editing, so I'm going to walk you through it. I also have the detailed slide. If you want to pause it here or read it, it's also available for you. But back to my new dashboard, the one that I created, the one we were walking you through the widgets and the steps and the widget properties. So first things first, I personally like the background colors, the dark background colors. There's actually a reason behind it, especially for the CXO presentations from best design practices. However, you do have to take into consideration your own company's logos or org. So if they are light, just use the light or whatever the color template is. But for me here, I've changed this to background color from the grid dark blue. Another thing in design is, as you notice, this is kind of 12 columns, which is not a lot in width perspective. It depends how you're approaching this design. If you think there's only 2 columns, like roughly 2 columns, maybe that's fine. Else you can increase it to 16, for example. You can always come back and increase that. Let's start with the 16 columns in this case. Now, it's always good to bring a container. Container is what is going to contain all the widgets together. It's sort of like a group all the widgets together, so you can move the container up and down. Also, there's another advantage for the container. It does have a background image. So there's a small trick where folks add a background image, then add a link on top of the container and mimic a clicking on a logo or an image. I'll show you that later on. Now that I've added the container, let's increase this a little bit. We're going to add some microcharts here. I am going to add a logo. It's always good to add an image or a logo to your dashboard. You can click on image, get to gallery, pick up Trailhead, for example. And you can resize this, fit height. There you go, that's my logo. Also, a good example is bringing a text or a title for the dashboard, of course. Let's call it Opportunity Dashboard. That's what it is about. Now, don't worry about this not having the enough width, because once you go to preview, this will expand and fill. Again, this is the tile effect of the canvas. And since this is a browser application, you always want to save this as frequently as possible. So you can hit save, or you can just hit the S button. Since it's a brand new dashboard. And we will save this in shared app. All right. Actually, let's just expand this for a bit now. Next thing is the global filters. So every dashboard should have a global filter. Now, global filters are good from performance perspective. One way to explain it is, assume this dashboard runs against a data set that's 20 million rows. When you add a global filter, what happens is the global filter executes first. So let's say you're filtering by a region or by a time frame, and instead of actually 20 million, you only need maybe 5 million. So now every other step on this dashboard, every other query will just hit the 5 million and not the 20 million. So your performance obviously will increase. Because imagine you have 10 charts, each one of them is sending a query against the 20 million rows and getting the results back, versus 10 charts, each one is sending the query against the 5 million and getting back the results faster. So the global filter panel or widget is right here. Now you want to grab it, put it here. It's a little bit big, cumbersome. And the way to add these is just hit the plus. You are going to specify the data set this dashboard about, and this dashboard is about opportunities. So the main data set is just about opportunities, the one we've created in the previous chapters. So opportunity owner account. And let's say I want to pick account name, for example, the first field. By default, it expands the list. Just click outside, add another field, maybe account type, and hit create. Again, it expands it. By the way, before I collapse this, the other feature about global filters is you can lock them down. So for example, if I select a customer here and I'll lock it, hit apply, this will always be locked. So if I am an end user, somebody designed this dashboard and pushed it to the end users, I as an end user ran this dashboard, clicked on it, I will see this locked, I cannot change it. Even the designer can even say, I want to, let me save this first, just in case. I can delete the widget, so the end user will not even know that this is locked. This is actually now locked to customer, because in edit mode, I can see that this is locked. So I'm going to go back, add this, undo this, and uncheck the locked, apply. There you go. Now the global filter is a little bit big. I want to modify the properties so it merges well with the background of the dashboard. In this case, I don't need the title, so uncheck show title right here. Also scroll down to the filter style. Actually, before filter style, look out how many filters we have. By default, it kind of keeps place for 6. We are going to change this to 2. So it's only 2 filters. Also, filter style, we are going to change the field color to white. Value color to white, disappears. And then the background color to dark blue. And finally, if you scroll all the way down to widget style, this is the widget. Background color to dark blue. And I have this nice look and feel to the widget itself. Again, I'll hit save to save my work. Next, I'm going to start adding charts. Now, to add charts, which is widgets and steps, there are multiple ways. The first time I'm going to do it the slow way, the way that kind of solidifies this idea about steps and widgets together in Einstein Analytics. So first, I'm going to create the step that brings me the data. And in this case, I just want a chart that has the opportunities names listed by amount descending. So first, I'm going to hit create step. And it is the same data set, opportunity owner account. Always give your step a name. So let's say this is amount by ops. And you don't have to put underscore. This is just a label. I just kind of tend to. And this is going to be sum of amount So I change the sum of amount. And the group by is just the name of the opportunity. I can obviously sort it from here, or descending, ascending, and no sort, and then descending. This is pretty much the data I want, so I'm going to hit done. Next, I want to present this as a bar chart. So again, later on you will see me doing something different, but for now, I need to drag the widget, the chart widget, put it somewhere on the canvas. And drop the step into the widget. So this relation between a widget and a step is together. Now that I have my data, I'm just going to apply some beautification, nicely merge it with the same theme of the dashboard. So while this widget is selected, you will see the properties. Note also that the widget properties also you have the step associated with this widget, the name, and we'll talk about these later, but pretty much do you want it to interface with the or interact with the other components, apply the filters, global filters to it? Do you want to apply from different widgets to it? Do you want to apply the selections from this one to the other widgets right here? And more importantly, most common or a very common question, do you want to enable it for multiple selections? This is where you enable it for multiple selections under here. Back to the widget properties. I'm going to give it a title, amount by ops or op. And we're going to scroll down all the way down to, for example, y-axis. It is by op or op name, let's say. So I don't need this name right here. It's taking some space. So under y-axis, uncheck show title. Then I already said amount by op, so I don't need the legend. It's taken out, space here. So go to legend, uncheck show legend. Now the theme goes hand in hand with the widget style background. So notice there's something here called theme. Notice the widget style background. Now, if I change the background to a dark color, such as this, then the theme has to be dark. So the dark matches dark background. If it was light, then it's light, default, color safe. We obviously have a lot of other themes, up to you. But let's switch this to dark. Notice what happened to the chart. Now it's much more visible under a dark background. Last thing I wanted to do with this bar chart is under x-axis, I want to add a reference line. So under x-axis, I want to add a reference line. Roughly, I'm looking at here 5 million, for example. I'm going to say goal. Oops, sorry, that was the other one. 5 million. And the label is goal. The color is red. And I have a reference line. I can add more references line if I want. The title I was changing, this is also another tip users ask for. Like, how do I change this from sum of amount to maybe op amount? So you can change it right here. And again, I'll click outside. I'm done. I'm going to hit S as save. Next, I'm going to add a chart here. This is a map chart. So I want the amount by state. Again, I can go to create a step, specify the step, drag the chart, drop the step in. But I'm going to show you now the next way, or the second way, which is probably how you're going to do it most of the time. Since I already know it's a chart of a sort, it's a map, I'm going to drag the chart and hit in the middle right here on chart. Now once you hit in the middle of the chart, what's happening is as if you have clicked on create step and dragged and dropped it. So you're saving kind of these 2 clicks or these 2 things. So once I hit on chart, again, the step is going to be called amount by state. The metric is sum of amount. The bars or the group is state or billing state. Okay. So I have my query, but I do know this is state. And I kind of know there's also nice analytics under charts. Well, I have 2 options actually. If I click on suggested charts, it's going to show me the map because it realizes these are states. Or the manual way, scroll down to maps, select maps. And once you select maps, by default, it's world map. And then you have to go right here to formatting. Scroll down to map. And you are going to change the first option, world countries, to US states. And also check auto zoom. Has a nice effect. You're going to see it in a bit. Now that I'm done, just hit done, and automatically the chart is going to be available on the canvas. Again, it's selected. These are widget properties. Give it a name, amount by state, for example. Scroll down. The theme is going to be dark because I am going to change the background to a dark. All the way down, widget style. Background color to dark. I will also go up and change the legend. I don't want to show it in this case. And that's it pretty much. So let me hit S, save it, go to preview and see how these 2 components now interact. If I click on Butler 33, the map automatically zooms into the state, Louisiana. So that means this opportunity belongs to the account that belongs to the state. Notice these are faceting, and this is now single selection. This is not multiple. I did not select multiple. This has no account, or the account doesn't belong here, or amount. Notice that the selections are, like I said, it's single. And the reason behind that is if you go under edit, like I said, you can select this step and multiple selections right here. The reason we click on this is probably an account that doesn't have state. In the recipes, there were empty values of state. If you go back and check your recipes, you're going to see there's a lot of null values for state. State is not dictated for the account of this opportunity. All right, back to our exercise. Now that I've added these small widgets, let's add one more step or widget that shows me the current quarter amount. Again, I think I'm going to use a chart. So I'm going to add it here. Click on chart. Call it current QTR amount. Again, it's sum of amount. The bars, there's no bars. I just want the total amount. So there's no group by, just the total amount. But I do want to filter it. So I'm going to filter this to close date. And notice the options we have. You can select the pre-date parts calculated or available in the UI. You can go to custom, absolute, or even relative again. But I do want current quarter, so I think it's an option right there. So if I go down, current year, current quarter right here. So I will just select current quarter, hit add, and there you go, that's the current quarter amount. I'll hit done, and that is my chart. Now, This is not the best presentation, so I can double click again. That's one way to edit. By the way, this is one way to edit steps. You can double click on it. You can come to here, to here and edit. Or last one is you can click on the canvas anywhere, drag it down, Canon quarter, and hit edit here. Back to the easiest way, double click. I am going to go to charts, suggested charts, and click on the gauge, dashboard gauge. And I am going to use this chart. Also, I'm going to add a title, so current quarter amount. And switch the themes to dark and widget style to background dark.